Sup everyone, I'm Kel, Red Zone Rogue, and welcome to another Force of Will deck tech video. Today we are covering Lenneth, the Priestess of Vel Silvaria. This is my final deck tech for all of the rulers from Alice Origin 1. I'm pretty stoked to get through this video. This is a pretty sweet deck actually. But before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to Happy Little Hug Factory. Those folks are awesome. They support this channel and I support them. I do have an affiliate link in the description down below. Check them out for Force of Will sealed and single product. I think they still have some Alice Origin 2 and 1 starter decks available. They might have some booster boxes too, so I don't know, just check them out, see what they got. They're awesome. They have really good competitive pricing. But without further ado, let's finally talk about Lenneth. Like the other two decks, like my Faria and my Melgus deck, this is an Alice Origin cluster only deck. Why is that? Well, that's because I want these videos to be as useful for new players as possible. And if I'm like, hey, you need to go buy these $20 cards from Decisive Battle of Valhalla, that's kind of new player unfriendly, I would say. So all these cards are from Alice Origin 1, and yeah, let's get started. What I do like a lot about this deck in particular is if you just buy a bunch of booster boxes of Alice Origin 1, you can build this deck, and I think this deck's actually pretty good. So yeah, you can build this like straight from the box if you buy enough boxes, because we are running some super rares. Lenneth here is the box topper for that set, which is pretty cool. She's Lenneth, the Priestess of Vel Silvaria. She's a ruler priest. On her J-Ruler side, she is a J-Ruler 12 protective deities priest, which is actually sort of relevant. So let's talk about her ruler side first. She's pretty similar to Melgus and Faria. She has the Stranger 10 claws. You can start the game with a Stranger deck of exactly 10 Stranger Resonators. You may not have more than 2 copies of any Stranger Resonator in that deck. So you can only have 2 of each, or up to 2 of each at least. She has a Judgment of double light and a fire, an Energize of a light or a fire, and she says this giant wall of text is kind of small down here, so let's go over it. Whenever a light regalia enters the field under your control, choose one. If the regalia is Caduceus, I'm gonna call it Caduceus, but I'm not really sure how it's pronounced. Choose up to 2 instead. Choose a card from your Stranger deck at random and put it into the field, or remove the top card of your deck from the game, then draw a card, or remove a Resonator with total cost 1 or less from the game. You may pay 0 to do Judgment until end of turn. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So you can choose a couple different things. You can choose to remove a card from the top of your deck from the game, then draw a card. That's actually really relevant. This is kind of a deck that really plays with a lot of like removed from area space, which I think is really unique in a lot of card games, which makes this deck, you know, pretty fun. You can also get a Stranger at random, which is pretty cool. You can also remove a Resonator with total cost 1 or less from the game, which is, you know, it's okay. It comes up every now and then. Or you can pay 0 to do the Judgment. And what is the Judgment side? She's pretty beefy. She's an 1100, 1400. I already said she's a 12 protective deities priest. Enter, remove target non-J-Ruler, non-Magic Stone entity from the game. So she basically just straight up kills something, which is pretty sweet. You can also do your own stuff if you have some shenanigans, but most of the time we're just going to be killing our opponent's biggest thing. She also has a God's Art, the Power of Magna, for 1 light and a fire. You can choose a card from your Stranger deck at random, put it into your hand, then you may put a Stranger from your hand into the field. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to put the one that you got back. It's not the best God's Art, but it's, you know, it's pretty good. Gets the job done, especially if you have some powerful Stranger Resonators. And yeah, let's start talking about the rest of the deck, including those Stranger Resonators. Before we talk about the Strangers, let's quickly go over the Magic Stone deck, because it's basically what you would expect. We have 4 Magic Stone of Heat Ray. This is the Light Fire Dual Stone. We got, you know, 4 of these. We have 4 of the Ataractia's Memoria, and then a Light Magic Stone, and then a Fire Magic Stone. Pretty standard stuff if you're playing Alice Origin Cluster. Let's start finally talking about those Strangers. First up, we have Amaterasu, the Oracle of Sacred Text. This is a pretty cool one. This one is not in any starter decks or anything like that. Most of these cards, like I said, are just going to be found in the Alice Origin booster, but we do have some starter deck cards. She is an 800/800 for 1 of any and a fire Resonator, Stranger, Deity. Other light or fire Resonators you control gain +200/+200, and we are playing, as you saw, a light and fire deck, so she kind of pumps your whole team, which is really sweet. And you may pay 1 less to play light or fire Resonators. Just a really solid, efficient card. You know, she's really big, pumps up our team, and makes our team cheaper to play. We are running 2 of her. We're basically running 2 of all of strangers in the deck. Next we have Red Wizard, one of the best fire strangers there are, in my opinion. 600 for a single fire. Enter. This card deals 600 damage to each resonator your opponent controls. Yep, 600 to their whole team. Pretty good. Like I said, running 2 of these, and these ones are found in the starter deck. Next up is the White Wizard, also a starter deck one. He's a 700 for a single white will. Resonator Stranger Wizard. The Red Wizard, if you didn't know, is also a wizard. It has Drain, and it says prevent all damage that we dealt to Resonators with a +100/+100 counter on them by chance and abilities. Pretty good. And enter distribute 2 100/100 counters on up to 2 target J/Resonators you control. So he kind of protects your team, pumps your team a little bit. I think we may or may not have some other ways to put 100/100 counters on it, but even if we don't, I still think this is pretty good in the deck. We are running 2 of him. And then we also have Thor the White Lightning. He is pretty sweet. Another 800 for a fire and a light. Resonator Stranger Deity. Enter. Remove the top card of your deck from the game. Destroy all non-Magic Stone entities your opponent controls that share a cost with the removed card. It's actually share a cost or less. This card has been errated, so just keep that in mind. And you can also pump him. So for a light, he gets big butts. He gets +0, +200. And for fire, he gets big fights, +200/0 until end of turn. And once again, we are running double Thor. And then finally, we have another starter deck card. This is Siegfried, running 2 of him, the Dragon Knight. For double light, he's a 700 1000 Resonator Stranger Paladin. He has flying, barrier fire, barrier darkness. Enter, destroy target rested resonator. Pretty good. Just be careful with this. You have to choose a target. So if you only have rested resonators, you will have to choose one of your own dudes. So just keep that in mind. But I still think this is pretty good and definitely worth an inclusion. All right, next up is the main deck with Caduceus or Caduceus. We're just calling it Caduceus. This is our Regalia. We are running 4 of these because, of course, we're running 4 of these. This is the Regalia for Lenneth. It is 1 fire and 1 light, mythic. All the Regalia have that mythic clause. It means you can only have 1 on the field at a time. Your J-Ruler gains Drain. Pretty good because Lenneth is pretty beefy. And you can rest it to produce 2 wills in any combination of fire and or light. Spend this will to play Strangers, Mage Arts, or activate abilities of 12 protective deities. And Lenneth is a 12 protective deity, so you can use this to do her God's Art, which is pretty cool. And like I said, running all 4 of them. Next up, we have our Resonators, and it's a big chunk of the deck. We're going to start off talking about some very particular ones first. These are our goddesses. We have another goddess as well, but these are the main goddesses. We have Keeper of Present Verdani. We have the Keeper of Future Skuld, and then we have the Keeper of Past Earther. I think these cards are really cool, and we're going to go over them individually, but I really like how these were originally from the, I think this is from the original Alice cluster, and they didn't really see a lot of play, but they are actually really, really good in this deck, and so now they can see play. So if you have old versions of these, you can run them, or if you have like these swanky full art new versions, you can run the new versions too. So let's go over these individually. We have Keeper of the Present Verdani. She's a 100 for a single fire. They are all goddesses, so Resonator Goddess. Enter, you may remove a card in your hand from the game. If you do, draw a card. And then this card gains +900 and first strike as long as you control 10 or more cards in your removed area. So that's kind of the theme of this deck. We are definitely dealing with a lot of removed area stuff and getting stuff back from a removed area and, you know, putting stuff in the removed area and all that kind of stuff. It's actually really, really cool. And yeah, that's basically what you want to do with this. Since this is such a lean card, we are running a full playset because it basically, you know, draws a card for us, fuels our removed area thing, and then once we have critical mass, it's a 1000 with first strike. Very, very tough to deal with. Really good. So running a full playset of her. Next up, we have Keeper of the Future Skuld. She is also quite good, 500 for a single fire and 1 of any. Enter, remove the top 2 cards of your deck from the game. This card deals 100 damage multiplied by the combined total cost of the cards removed this way to target J/Resonator. Then it has the same clause as Verdani. This card gains +300 and swiftness as long as there are 10 or more cards in your removed area. Well, not the exact same clause. She gets a bonus if you have 10 or more removed cards in your removed area. So she becomes an 800 with swiftness, which is really good. And she also has this ability to, you know, nug a J Resonator, which is also pretty good. And we do have ways to put cards back on top of our deck, so you can kind of maximize on this. So we'll go over that when the time comes, but she's pretty good. If you don't have anything to put back on top of the deck, it's kind of like a random thing. You're like, you know, cross your fingers, hope you get some of your high drops, because we are running a pretty lean deck. But yeah, we're running 3 of Skuld here. And then finally, we have Keeper of the Past Earther. We are running 3 Earther, so 4 Verdani and then 3 of each of the others. She is the biggest one. Well, yeah, she's the biggest one and also the most expensive one. 800 for 2 of any and a fire. Enter, you may remove up to 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. So the other one does from the top of the deck. Skuld does it from the top of the deck. Earther does it from the graveyard. So it's a little bit more controlled. So you can kind of pick which ones you want to do. If you do, this card deals 200 damage multiplied by the combined total cost of the cards removed this way to target J/Resonator. So both of these are kind of removal. This one does it from the top of the deck, is a little more random. This one does it from your graveyard, which is, you know, pretty good. We want stuff in the removed area, not really in our graveyard. And then this also has the same type of clause. It gets 300, and precision as long as there are 10 or more cards in your removed area. So it becomes an 1100. Yeah, pretty good. So I really like these as removal. Skuld is kind of the most iffy one because it's, you know, swiftness is really good. Being 800 with swiftness is quite good for only 2, but the killing something is kind of random unless you have some way to set it up. But yeah, these are kind of like the core of our deck. We are doing, you know, goddess strats. Speaking of goddess strats, we have the best goddess of them all with Athena, the Guardian of Blaze. This card is awesome. She is very hot for multiple reasons. 800 double light and a fire. I just said that because she's like on fire. Anyway, Resonator, 12 protective deities / goddess, which is relevant. We do care about goddesses in the deck. She has flying and drain, so she's a big lady. And with flying and drain, whenever you gain life, put 2 +100 counters on this card. So synergizes with White Wizard, pretty cool. You can pay 1 light and gain 200 life, and you can pay a fire, and this card deals 100 damage for each 100 counter on this card to target J/Resonator. So she kind of combos with herself, you know, gaining life, putting counters on her, then you can start dealing damage. After she already has drain, you can start just keep pumping up, dealing damage. She like machine guns things down. She's really, really sweet. We're running a full play set of her because, you know, she's probably one of the best cards in the whole deck. And the final Resonator we have is Allosaurus, the Invader of God's City. He's a whopping 9 will, 7 of any, fire, and a light, but he's got some clauses. So he's 1,000, pretty good, and you can pay 1 less to play this card for each card in your removed area. So he costs less the more stuff we have in our removed area, which is really good because we want stuff in our removed area. You also has enter, put a card from your removed area into your hand. So you can kind of use that like a tutor. We're going to be dumping a lot of stuff into the removed area, and then you can get stuff back from it, which is good. So it's not gone forever. Think of it as like a separate little temporary mini library zone. And you can also pay 0 and reveal this card from your hand, put it on top of your deck or into your graveyard, or remove it from the game. So yeah, this is kind of very interesting. You can put it in your graveyard. That's not really what we want to do. We mostly want to either put it on top of the deck to use with Verdani. Let me go grab her. Not Verdani. Skuld. We want to put them on top of the deck for Skuld, and then play Skuld and get this clause where you get to deal damage equal to the combined cost of the top 2 cards of the deck. And it'll do a lot of damage because Allosaurus here costs 9. Plus, you know, whatever other card you hit. So, pretty good. You can also just do it to remove him from the game if you need that for whatever reason. But really, really solid card in this deck. But we don't really want to see him too early. So, because of that, we are running 3 of him. Next up, we have basically the rest of the deck. Spells, you know, chants, and additions. This is my favorite card in the whole deck. This is Crossing Point. I did run initially 4 of these. We are running 3 of these because this is a big deal. This card does a lot of stuff, and you don't want too many of them because you'll end up killing yourself. What does it do? It is a chant mage art for 1 fire and a light. So, you know, you can play this off of your Caduceus. It has quick cast. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal any number of goddesses among them and put them into your hand. Remove the rest from the game. So this feels remove from the game strategy, but also gets us a bunch of goddesses. And as you saw, most of the Resonators are goddesses. And I was playing this originally with a full playset, and I found that I could deck myself. Yeah, pretty easily, because, you know, Force of Will only has a 40 card starting deck if you're optimizing your deck, and you know, you also draw cards at the start. So if you do this too many times, you basically just run out of cards and end up killing yourself. So yeah, I found 3 to be quite good for this deck, and man, I love this card. It's cool. It's kind of like a unique thing for the game, and has a really cute art. So yeah. Next up, we have Memory of Disappearance. This is a reprint from the original Alice cluster. It is a chant for a single fire. Put target card from your removed area into your hand. Pretty simple. Just put any card in your removed area into your hand. Combos with all of our removed area stuff. I like this card a lot, but I didn't really feel the need to run a full playset of these, especially since we're running 3 Allosaurus too. So we basically have 6 effects that kind of do this in the deck, which is enough in my opinion. 6 is quite a bit of recursion. Next up is a big old chunk of removal. All these cards kill things in some way. First up was Twin Adder's Spiral. This is a chant mage art. You know, keep in mind, any mage art can be played with our Regalia, which is really good. 1 of fire and 1 light. Quick cast. This card deals 600 damage to target player or J/Resonator. You gain 600 life if this card was awakened. Choose a card from your stranger deck at random, put it into your hand, awakening a single light. Really good. If you play Magic the Gathering, this is kind of like Lightning Helix. Dealing 600 damage and then gaining 600 life and also potentially drawing a card. Really good. Really good value. And because of that, we are running a full playset of the Twin Adder Spiral. Next up is Lenneth's signature spell, I would say. This is Light of Raise and Revive. This is a very, very good card. Chant mage art for 1 fire and a light. Quick cast. Choose 1. Remove target non-J ruler, non-Magic Stone entity with total cost 3 or less from the game. Pretty good. Gets rid of like tiny dudes or even like additions and that kind of stuff. Or put a Resonator with total cost 3 or less from your removed area into the field. Also pretty good. We have a lot of, like I said, removed from the game synergy. And then it says, or search your deck for a light Regalia, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Really good. So you can either, you know, kill something, reanimate something, search your deck for your Regalia. Really, really good. I'm only running 2 of these simply because I only have 2 of these. At the time of this recording, this was pretty hard to find, but if you are watching in the future, I know this was a promo, so you might be able to get the promo version of this for not too much. But yeah, if you do have them, run a full playset because it is really, really good. Next up is Invasion of Allosaurus. This is a chant mage art. Quick cast for 1 of any and a fire. Remove the top 3 cards of your deck from the game. Once again, very synergizes with Allosaurus because you can put him on top of the deck. This card deals 100 damage multiplied by the combined total cost of the cards removed this way to target J/Resonator. Very much similar to Scald. And then also has Remnant, which means you can play it again from your graveyard and then it gets removed from the game. Pretty good. So you can have a lot of repetitions of this. You can play it and then play it with the Remnant and then get it back with either Allosaurus or Memory of Disappearance and then play it again. So very, very efficient card. We are only running 2 of these. I would probably cut these for more Lights of Raise and Revive, but I still think it's a pretty good card and definitely worth consideration. Some people would probably cut these for, or rather cut the next card for more of these, but I honestly like the next card a lot. This is the Seal of Lenneth. I think this is one of the best removal cards in the entire game. Probably one of the best ones they've ever printed for Force of Will. It is an addition for a single light. Enter, remove target non-J ruler, non-Magic Stone entity your opponent controls from the game. When this card leaves the field, put that card basically back into play. This card is crazy. It's just like a 1-drop removal. Kill anything, any Resonator, any addition, just get rid of it unless they have addition removal, and not a lot of people are running addition removal. This card is very, very good. It's very efficient, and I am running 3 of them because, yeah, it's really good. You should probably be playing this if you are playing light in Force of Will. And it's just like a common card, dude. These are so cheap. Just get some. And the final card of this deck is the Palace of 3 Goddesses. So this is a 10-drop, 8 of any, a fire and a light. It's an addition. You may pay 1 less to play this card for each card in your removed area. So, you know, if you are filling a removed area, this card's going to be very, very cheap. If we play the Crossing Point, it basically makes the Palace only 2 to play, which is pretty good. Why is it good? Because it's, pretty powerful. Enter, you may put any number of goddess resonators with different names from your hand into the field. Once again, combos really well with Crossing Point. And you can also pay a light and a fire to put 2 +100/+100 counters on target goddess resonator. Once again, synergizes with our light wizard or white wizard. The wizard from the stranger deck. Pretty good. We are running 2 of these, mostly because we just don't want a whole lot of these in our hand, gumming up space or anything like that. If you have this early on, it's kind of like a dead card until you can start fueling your remove from the game synergies, but I still think it is very, very good and definitely worth running. Maybe run 3. I don't think you run 4, but I still think it's quite good. And that's the video, everyone. That is our Lenneth, the Priestess of Vel Silvaria deck tech. If you liked the video, let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that crap. It really helps a lot, especially since I'm a small channel and Force of Will is kind of a niche game right now. If you did like the video, also stay tuned for some more Force of Will content. I have Alice Origin 2 booster box openings, deck in a box videos, deck techs for all 3 of the new rulers, including, starter deck upgrade guides, all that good stuff in the pipelines. And, I have other things planned as well, other Force of Will stuff, but other stuff for other card games. Maybe some even Dragoborn stuff. Stay tuned, everyone. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time for some more card game content. See you later.